Hey everyone, thank you for joining this session about selling with MPO. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Jonathan, and I'm the Senior Director of Strategic Alliances at Silverfort. And together with me today, we have Jason, and I'll let Jason introduce himself.
Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, so I'm a director here in the product marketing team for commercial marketplace at Microsoft, and I focus on features within the commercial marketplace that enable channel partners to go out and sell applications from software vendors like Silverfort. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. So today we'll talk a little bit about Silverfort and how we've been able to drive our business selling our solutions through the Microsoft Azure Marketplace and specifically using the MPO capabilities or the multi-party private offer capabilities, how we've been able to expand and grow our business through the Azure Marketplace. So just a quick agenda of what we're going to go through on this session. We'll talk quickly about who is Silverfort, what are our offerings and what are we selling? What is the opportunity that we have with selling our solution? Then Jason will run us through what are MPOs or multi-party private offers, who is eligible, and then we'll talk about who we are targeting and how to get started as a partner. And we'll even walk you through a real world example of how Silverfort was able to not only close a deal faster, but increase a deal size by selling through the marketplace with one of our channel partners. So with that, we'll start a little bit about who Silverfort is. So Silverfort is an identity security vendor, specifically focused on the identity and access management space. We have a platform that allows organizations to manage all of their identities, both human and non-human identities, or NHIs, across all platforms, whether it's in the cloud or on-prem. And specifically with Microsoft, we are allowing organizations to gain the benefits of Entra ID security controls and to use those modern, amazing capabilities that they have to protect identities regardless of where those identities are being stored and managed. So some of our key features is universal MFA, so bringing conditional access and modern authentication to the entire organization. Non-human identity security, which is becoming a huge focus for organizations today. So how do we look at those machine-to-machine accounts, accounts that are being used to access databases and critical infrastructure that are running inside Active Directory? How can we monitor them and protect them? And of course, we can't forget about privileged access security. How are we protecting our crown jewels of the organization, our privileged access? These are all things that Silverfort is able to help with for all types of organizations. So a little bit about our offerings. So first, we talk about identity. Identity is the key to protecting organizations today. In the hybrid world that we live in, the remote work, people logging in and working from anywhere, your physical location or the machine that you're using, the infrastructure that you're using becomes less relevant, and it's all focused around identities, your username and your password. That's what defines you today in a modern work environment, and it's less about the machine that you're connecting from. So it's really important that we protect those identities with strong modern authentication. The challenge is that a lot of organizations are still very heavily reliant on legacy applications, banking applications, governments. A lot of that legacy infrastructure is still in place. So how do we bridge that gap from the modern authentication to the legacy applications? And that's really what Silverfort is focused on when we talk about identity-first actions, identity-first responses. And the key place to start there is from Active Directory. Active Directory recently celebrated its 25th birthday with Microsoft. So it's been around for a long time, and it's an integral part of almost every organization out there, especially the large organizations. But there hasn't been a lot of changes to it, and definitely not any modern security updates. So we need to make sure that we can bring modern security best practices to the Active Directory environment, and Silverfort is here to help bring the controls from Entra ID to Active Directory. And of course, privileged access, it's everywhere. It's a part of our daily routines. We need to be able to protect all of our privileged users. That's what the attackers are using today to spread malware, to get access to sensitive data. Has to be a top priority for organizations to protect. So what's the opportunity for selling with Silverfort? So as I mentioned, almost every large enterprise is using Active Directory. It's a critical part of their infrastructure. It's very, very difficult for them to get off of it because of a lot of tech debt, because of a lot of controls that they've had in place to manage applications through Active Directory. On the other hand, how do we gain that modern security, best practice, user experience policies that we have from conditional access and bring them to on-prem with Silverfort? So we want to make sure that this growing attack surface of having identities outside of our organization through the cloud, all of these new tools that we're onboarding, these are identities that are being spread across the entire organization. We need to help reduce that attack surface as much as possible. The other thing that companies and organizations are starting to realize is that non-human identities are a major threat. This has been the source of most breaches in the last few years, is attackers getting hold of non-human identities. The main difference is when we talk about humans, there's a very structured process when a new employee joins an organization, how we create and manage their identity. And when an employee leaves an organization, there are very clear paths on what to do with that user. We disable them, we delete them, and so on. Non-human identities don't belong to a specific user. They belong to applications that live on in an organization for many, many years after an employee that implemented them has already left. So what is that user actually doing? What permissions do they have? Who's controlling it? Who's monitoring it? These questions are very hard for organizations to answer. And so the first task that we have with Silverfort is to be able to provide visibility into those non-human identities. And the second thing is, how do we control them? How do we define what that non-human identity is allowed to do? And how do we make sure that it's only doing what it's supposed to? And most importantly, how do we do this with minimum effort and minimum cost? Because at the end of the day, everybody has a budget and everybody is overworked. So Silverfort is looking and managing more than 10 billion authentications per day with more than 1,000 enterprise customers globally. We've responded to more than 34,000 real-time identity threats and been able to stop them. And our deployments are 17 times faster than those of similar products. So really the return on value to customers is huge. And now I'm going to pass it over to Jason to explain a little bit about multi-party private offers.
Excellent. Thanks, Jonathan. So multi-party private offers are a feature within Microsoft Commercial Marketplace that allow you as a channel partner, and a channel partner in a sense of a broad term, you could be a systems integrator, a reseller, a distributor, anyone that's really kind of working with a Microsoft enterprise customer that would be interested in making a Silverfort purchase through Marketplace. This allows you as that partner to step in the middle of that transaction, still own the relationship with the end customer, and also earn margin on the sale. When customers who have Microsoft Azure cloud commitments, sometimes referred to as the MAC, purchase these Silverfort products through Marketplace, 100% of the purchase price to the customer goes towards the decrement of that MAC commitment. Jonathan, if you go to the next slide, we'll dive a little deeper into the workflow on one of these types of transactions. So most of these deals all occur when you as a Silverfort partner identify an opportunity with a customer. So you've identified an opportunity with the customer, you've asked the customer some important questions like, hey, do you have one of these Microsoft Azure cloud commitments, right? Do you want to make this purchase through Marketplace so you draw down that commitment? At that point, when you have a qualified deal, you'll go to Silverfort, and Silverfort will go into their tool Partner Center, kind of sits behind Microsoft Marketplace, and they'll take one of their offers, they'll privatize that offer, they'll send it to you as the channel partner in this transaction. You'll see it show up in your view of Partner Center. At that point, you'll take that offer and you'll modify it a little bit further. Primarily what you're going to do is you're going to mark it up. You're going to add some margin to that. When you're complete, you'll send it to the customer. The customer will see the offer show up in their Azure portal. And within the Azure portal, they'll go through the purchase and confirm process where they'll buy the application. At that point, Microsoft will invoice the customer. The invoice for the Silverfort transaction shows up on their Azure invoice at whichever point in time, depending upon whether they're an enterprise agreement customer or a Microsoft Cloud agreement customer. They'll get the invoice for Silverfort. They'll pay that invoice, so Microsoft will collect. Microsoft then pays you through Partner Center your margin on the deal, and then Microsoft pays Silverfort for their component of the software transaction. So if you go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the requirements to participate in one of these types of transactions with Silverfort. So we set the bar fairly low at Microsoft. Really, you just need to be a member of the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. So you need to have that partner ID. and then you need to enroll in commercial marketplace. When you enroll in commercial marketplace, what you really do is you fill out some paperwork and you get now what's called a seller ID to go along with your partner ID. At that point, you'll need to complete some tax and payment profile information so we know how to handle the taxes and where to send your check when you sell a Silverfort deal. If you're selling to customers in the US, you'll also need to provide a resale certificate. If you're selling to customers in the United Kingdom, you'll need to fill out the tax treaty benefits form. At that point, you're enrolled to sell multi-party private offers, and you'll show up on the eligible partner list. You'll be available to go transact one of these deals where available. So customers purchasing in the United States, Canada, or the UK at this time, with more global expansion to come. And at any point in this journey, if you're not enrolled today, the best way to get enrolled is simply to send an email to channelready@microsoft.com. And behind that alias sits a concierge desk, and they will help you through these steps. If you're not already a Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program member, they'll help you with enrollment there. Primarily, what they're going to help you with is to get through that tax and payment profile completion within Partner Center. There's also an onboarding guide that you can take a look at here at any point in time as well. So it's not hard to get enrolled. One thing we do often encourage you, though, to do is enroll early, because it can take up to 10 to 14 days to complete the enrollment process. There's some third-party validation that has to take place. Like, we need to verify, are we sending this to an eligible bank account? We need to verify the resale certificate, those types of things. So best coaching I can give you is get enrolled early. Don't wait till the 11th hour in your first Silverfort deal, but do that and get started selling these deals. Jonathan, if you want to kind of walk us through maybe a real world customer example that you've had at Silverfort, that would be great.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, Jason. So I want to say that the process from the ISV side is super easy, but I can also say that we've worked with quite a number of different resellers up till now. And from all of them that we've heard that the process is super easy, and Microsoft really holds your hand throughout the process. So I would agree with Jason, do it sooner rather than later, but it's really not a hard process. And I'd like to kind of walk you through a real world example that we had with a large oil and gas company where we sold through the marketplace together with one of our channel partners, Computer Center. And it just made the process really easy. So I'll walk you through a little bit of the points here. So one, it was a very large customer, very legacy customer, obviously oil and gas, huge manufacturing operation, very reliant on Active Directory. So we were able to come in and provide them visibility to their non-human identities, but also for their workforce, and allow them to use a lot of their Microsoft investments in Entra ID to better protect their on-premise environments. So that was kind of the use case. But really the focus for this conversation is around the marketplace and how we were able to do that. So this was a large company. They had a very, very big Mac, but they also didn't have a very big budget. Just like a lot of manufacturing organizations, they wanted to try and control their budget as much as possible. And so the initial deal was for a certain size. But then once we told them that they could use their Mac and that they could buy through the marketplace, all of a sudden they wanted all the features, and the price of the deal, the size of the deal actually increased. I can also tell you that we needed Microsoft's help in this deal because it was a very big Microsoft customer. And when we registered this deal with Microsoft and we told them that the deal was going to go through the marketplace, the account team for this customer was super excited to work with us because they are incentivized from the Microsoft side to help ISVs like us sell through the marketplace. So they would jump on calls with us. They would tell us who are the stakeholders. They would walk us through the procurement process and who we needed to talk to and what papers we needed to sign. And they really put in a good word for Silverfort with the customer. So that was also really helpful for us, working through the marketplace and working with the team and the Microsoft team. Getting incentivized to help us was also a huge benefit. And the fact that we could do this through the customer's preferred procurement partner, reseller, in this case, Computer Center, was also a huge benefit, right? We didn't have to make any big changes to the customer's procurement process. They were used to procuring through that channel partner. And the fact that we could use their Mac and do it through the marketplace, and Silverfort didn't have to sign any special papers to be onboarded as a vendor or anything like that, really helped to speed up the process. And like our CRO always says, time kills all deals. So anything that we could use to speed up the deal was amazing, and the fact that it made the deal even bigger than it was originally supposed to be. It was just a really, really good win for everybody all around. The customer was happy that they could use their Mac. The Microsoft team was super happy that it went through the marketplace and that they used their Mac, because that means that the customer will be incentivized to sign a bigger Mac when that contract is up. And obviously a big win for Silverfort as well. This was over $1 million deal for 3 years and a Mac purchase, as I mentioned. So it was overall just a great win and a great collaboration between Silverfort, Microsoft, and the partner, reseller. And this wouldn't have happened without having Azure Marketplace and the MPO capabilities. So I'll just go to the next slide. So who are we targeting? Silverfort, who are our target customers? So we work in every industry. As I mentioned, any customer that has Active Directory is a potential customer for Silverfort, but specifically focused obviously on the banking and financial services, manufacturing, retail, education, government. These are all very strong verticals for us. The key people that we are focusing, or the personas that we are focusing on when we talk to customers, is of course CISOs, chief information officers, and head of identity and access management, or directors of identity and access. And usually our key sweet spot are companies over 1,000 employees. So the next steps, if you want to sell the Silverfort solution through the marketplace together with us, reach out to us. Very easy email address to remember. It's microsoft@silverfort.com to get started. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to get on a call, walk you through the MPO process, put you in contact with the right people from the Microsoft side, and of course, show you a demo of the amazing Silverfort platform. So with that, I want to thank you for joining and taking the time to listen to our webinar. And Jason, I'll pass it over to you if you have any final words.
That's it. Thank you. The only other thing I would add is, if you're not enrolled in multi-party private offer today, just send an email to channelready@microsoft.com and get enrolled. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.